What's up, everyone? This is the Joey Langenbrunner podcast. We talk about freedom here. Today, we got a very special guest. His name is Wesley. He is a very good friend of mine, and he is president of the Bitcoin Bay Foundation. Wesley, what's the Bitcoin Bay Foundation?
Hey, Joey. Thanks for teeing it up. So we are a 501c3 nonprofit stationed down here in Tampa. We host meetups every week, many of
Yeah,
which you've been to, and work with local schools, businesses, individuals, politicians, basically you name it, we do it. We're kind of like the brain for Bitcoin in the Tampa area.
that's so cool. I mean, what inspired you to really get involved? Like not just in Bitcoin, because that could be like a completely story, but like what inspired you to start the Bitcoin Bay Foundation? Or like, did you start it or did you like kind of help or kind of like tell me about like what inspired you to get involved?
Yeah, so I just showed up to a meetup one day. So
That's normally how
we're
it
kind of
starts.
yeah. So we're kind of standing on the back of the Tampa Bay Bitcoineers, or on the
Okay.
shoulders of rather. They are the longest active running meetup in the U.S.
Wow.
They've been going since 2014.
That's crazy.
Um,
Cool.
yeah, and so about 3 years ago, so we actually Bitcoin Bay just turned three. This is our old retro logo. Um, I had started mining Bitcoin back in December of 21, pretty
Oh,
much at the
wow.
top of the market, the worst possible time to just get started in mining Bitcoin.
It happens.
Um, met met some guys that were local here through Telegram,
Okay.
and they're like, "Hey, we're going to this meetup. You want to come?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So um, I just happened to wear like a Gators long sleeve shirt, and Fabio, our other board member, went to UF. So he comes up and he's like, "Hey, go Gators!" And we sat at the table together. Um, Ben was running the bit devs. It was only his third bit devs that he had hosted. Um, and we all just became fast friends after that. Closed down some bars afterwards, just ranting and raving about everything that had been going on the past couple of years. And Ben told us about this idea for Bitcoin Bay,
Cool.
circular economy
Right.
based on a Bitcoin standard in Tampa Bay. And so that was when kind of Fabio and I and a fourth that values his privacy kind of came on board, and we
Yeah.
started doing more basic stuff, workshops. Um, but it wasn't until about like a year later we held a Bitcoin for Business workshop, and
Okay.
we got sponsors and tickets, and it looked like I made $6,000 on this event, and I couldn't write off the 5,000 in expenses. So I was like, "Ooh, okay, we got people donating, we got people sponsoring, we're doing tickets now. Like, we need to actually have an entity around this." Um, so we incorporated in May of 23, and then it just blossomed into my job.
So, so this is basically what you do a majority of the day then, no?
Oh yeah, this is I am the president of the Bitcoin Bay Foundation. This is my full time job.
Wow. Dude, like that's incredible. I know we talked about before, kind of like a mission is basically to get as many businesses in the Tampa Bay to accept Bitcoin and crypto and stuff like that. Um, where are you in that? And are you guys just doing Bitcoin or?
Yeah, so we were pretty lucky in that a large chunk of our business of our members uh, run their own business.
Okay.
So we've got, I'd say probably maybe 15-20% of our members like are business owners. Um, and through that, we've got a fairly decent layer one, I guess I'll say, of a circular economy. I mean, we don't have any we have a lot more services than we do like brick and mortars.
Okay.
So hairdresser, personal trainer, estate planner, HVAC, plumber, mechanic, rancher. Um,
Nice.
kind of like the unsexy side of things. We're not like going to bars or movies or concerts, but I mean, as a homeowner, I'm able to get most of the stuff around here fixed by one of our guys. Um, so it's been kind of slow going, especially given uh, uh, how hot the temperature was, or in the last administration towards the end with the samurai guys getting arrested and companies moving out.
Yeah.
Um, capital gains is obviously an issue as well. So businesses are
Oh, for
like,
sure.
oh, I don't know how I'm allowed. I don't even know if I'm allowed to do this. Um, so it's been a little slow going. So we're focusing on the education right now.
Okay. So I think education is a great angle. So like what kind of education are you doing? Because I know like I've been to your meetups before and you guys are, you guys will have speakers and stuff like that. But like for our audience, like what kind of education do you think is important when it comes to like Bitcoin and like other crypto?
Really, it's just like dispelling the fears people have about it. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, like I still meet people who to this day think the dollar is backed by gold. Um,
So here, like, let's chat about that a little bit. Why do people think that the dollar is backed by gold? Because I mean, we both know that it used to be backed by gold. But why do people still think something like this?
they didn't get the memo. They just kind of assume uh, wishful thinking.
Yeah.
I don't know. Whenever I tell people, I guess I never ask them like why you still believe that. um, but I think it's mostly amongst the older crowd who I guess just missed Nixon. Um, didn't realize that he had taken us off the gold standard. Um, but I don't know. I think it's just like it's definitely a gap in our education. I mean, it that benefits the government that people to think the dollar is backed by something. Because when they were like, "Wait, what do you mean it's not backed by anything?" I'm like, "Well, it's backed by the full faith and credit of the United States."
I mean,
Like, what does that
I
mean?
mean,
I'm like, it's
I
backed
mean,
on how
hey,
much you
like,
trust your government.
to be honest, like that's something. I mean, I'll always joke with some of our friends and say, hey, like the U.S. is the current, let's say, I'm like dominant power. It is, it is the empire, and
Mm-hmm.
so whatever currency that the empire has, I mean that's a lot of value there. If we think about, let's say, like the Roman Empire, if you're going to accept, their currency, I mean that's a big deal. I'd rather have that currency compared to any other currency in that time. So if I'm thinking about the US dollar compared to other fiat currencies, and fiat currencies is essentially just the currency of other countries, for example, you got the Canadian dollar, the Mexican peso, the
Mm-hmm.
British pound, things like this, I would rather hold the dollar. You have some other countries' currency, like the Swiss franc, or what's for Singapore? Is it like the Singapore dollar and stuff like that? Yeah, I think
I think so. Yeah.
you should know this.
I
Um,
am a Eurocentric guy.
gotcha. But anyways, you got some of these currencies that are stronger, theoretically. But when it comes to most accepted, it is the US dollar. So that network effect has some value, Wesley. So when you're trying to tell me, hey, you should accept Bitcoin or I should accept any other currency, it doesn't really matter if it's backed by gold because it's the network effect and there's like some value there. So why would I want to even accept Bitcoin? Why would I even want to get involved when just most payments just run through on the US dollar?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a big one as well. Is like, my suppliers don't take Bitcoin. Is is
Then why do
is
you do
what
it?
is what we get
Why do
as
you
well.
do it?
Yeah. Well, so I mean, that's kind of speaking in their terms. I mean, like we just had our Gasparilla float, and we paid for probably a third of that directly in Bitcoin.
Nice.
So
Cool.
we do try to make it happen. But I mean, that's definitely a response we get from people is that like, well, my suppliers don't take Bitcoin, like, so I need the dollars for this. And I mean, it's very real. I mean, it's definitely a forced network effect. I mean, that's what the monopoly of violence in your jurisdiction buys you is monopoly on the money as well. Um, so the people that do end up taking it typically are more, ideologically in our zone.
Yeah.
They can feel inflation. They're losing faith in the government. Um, they don't like what at least in the past couple of years. They don't like what the government's been doing. I don't know if like now that like Trump's in office, that kind of takes some of the pressure off. Um,
Yeah.
if it got
Yeah. So I'm curious because obviously the last administration, doing crypto or like blockchain related things was a bit tough. But I mean, as we saw just a few weeks ago, Trump launched a meme coin on Solana, and then Melania dropped a meme coin. They're buying Bitcoin, they're buying Ethereum. So from like that perspective, I mean, this administration sounds super friendly towards crypto, Wesley.
Hmm.
So, so like, first of all, like I'm thinking like, why are they even doing it? Because they're threatening the power of the U.S. dollar. Is this just like a pump and dump thing that the administration is doing? Is this something that like we can see more of from Trump in the next, like few days? Like, what do like, where do you think this current administration is going, and how do you think it will affect the market?
Yeah, so I just checked the Trump coin price. We're down to $15 from a high of 74.
Hey, it's not zero.
Um, yeah, it's not zero. It's up 2x from its launch price. So if you got in immediately, you made some money. Um, but as far as the administration and bullish on crypto, I guess the question I always kind of follow up with is like, are you talking about widespread use of peer-to-peer electronic cash, or are you talking about the price of the coins?
Everyone's talking about the price of the coin.
Yeah, so of course it'll be bullish. You know, there's 23 states, maybe around there. Around half
Yeah.
the states have legislation calling for the formation of Bitcoin strategic reserves. Um,
What does that mean exactly?
well, it depends on the legislation. A lot of
Okay.
them are called that and don't really actually do that. But the idea is that we are going to be holding Bitcoin as a reserve asset on our balance sheet. It's something
Wow.
will go into our pension funds, um, our municipal bond market maybe. But basically, we are treating this, as good as gold. Like we are holding this as part of our state's balance sheet. Florida is uniquely positioned amongst most of the states in that we typically run a budget surplus. So we actually are able to add to a reserve instead of having to draw down to pay for things. Now, this also could empower states to assert more of their autonomy. Um, that was a big way to get the uh, drinking age raised to 21 was that the feds held funding for roads hostage. So they basically told
Yeah,
states,
that's true.
you
That's
raise your
true.
drinking age to 21, you don't get funding for roads. And some held out for a while. I think New Hampshire might have been the last. Um, but that's what they do. They dangle the money they print out of thin air in front of you as a carrot, and if you don't take it, they beat you with the stick. So this could empower states to say, all right, well, screw it. I don't need, fine. I don't need that. I don't need that round of funding. Our Bitcoin holdings are up 2x, and we put $2 billion into there. So actually, I have enough funding for this project without you. Um, so that's
That
kind of yeah.
so I never thought about that when it comes to potentially doing some sort of like strategic reserve. Is this something that Florida is honestly thinking of doing, or is this kind of like your speculation?
Thinking of getting a reserve or thinking of telling the feds to.
Yeah, the second one.
Yeah, I think they were definitely more likely to do that under the last administration. I think we're trying to play ball with this one pretty hard.
I would assume so, yeah.
Um, yeah, so it's definitely a selling point of, hey, like obviously our guy's in there right now, so this isn't for now, but in the event we get another sock puppet, you can tell him to fuck off, and I don't need your money because we have our own.
That would be very, very interesting because one of the reasons I moved down to Florida was because I perceived Florida to have a lot more freedom compared to a lot of other states. Sure, there's a 0% tax and for for state tax and stuff like that. And a lot of people who come and vacation here in Florida, kind of pay a lot of taxes and stuff like that. So that kind of funds a lot of stuff that we do. But this would be very, very interesting, and I'm very curious to see how this interaction would be in maybe like a next administration because in my opinion, we'll see like the political pendulum swing from right to left, So like we got very left, now we're going very right, and maybe in Mich, I don't know, maybe like in 4 years from now or 8 years from now, we get someone on the left, like he's way more radical, and then Florida has enough reserves to kind of fight back. We'll see how that goes. We could do a bet on like Poly Market for that. And and who knows, Trump might get a third like a third 4 years, stuff like that. So we'll see how that goes. But one thing you said is that and and maybe I didn't hear you right, but you work with politicians and stuff like that when it comes to like Bitcoin education.
Yeah, so that's one of my other hats that I wear is over at the Florida Blockchain and Business Association.
Okay.
So that's more like a chamber of commerce with Bitcoin, crypto, and like Web3 companies that advocates for better policy at the state level. So that's where Florida's anti-CBDC bill came from,
Right.
was the FBBA.
Right.
One of the things we're working on now is the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve, which I think I think it's Barnaby, Senator Barnaby Waters, was our co-sponsor for that, and uh, sponsored it for the next legislative session. Webster Barnaby.
Okay.
Um, Also, state sales tax holiday for Bitcoin, um, and stablecoin regulation. So allowing for stablecoins to be used in real estate transactions. So that's a big issue right now. People have all this money, but they can't use it. They have it in crypto, but can't use it for real estate. So trying to use that to, all right, you might not be able to do it direct from Bitcoin, but you can swap it for USDC. Um, you have to pay the taxes whether you exchange the Bitcoin directly for the house because that's still technically a sale, or if you do it
Right.
USDT. But at
Right.
least this way you can stay in the crypto ecosystem while you're doing this.
That would be amazing because so I know if people are buying real estate with crypto, one of the biggest jurisdictions to do that is actually in Dubai, not in Abu Dhabi, just primarily in Dubai. And they're getting the golden visa, which is essentially a residency permit in Dubai through buying real estate directly with Bitcoin, because some of these providers of these properties will actually accept that. So if we have something like that here in Florida, that's going to be huge. So if you're in the crypto ecosystem and you're looking to buy property, I mean, where else would you go in the country compared to, like of course like you're going to come to Florida for
Right.
sure. Um, that'll be a huge boom to the real estate market. Not something we'll see right away, but I think over time, like it'll be pretty, like it'll probably be pretty decent, honestly, especially as
Yeah.
prices go
So yeah, no kidding. Yeah. So we'll see how kind of all that boils down. It's all very very early, but that's kind of more the political side. And then locally, we work with just educating, like on the Bitcoin based side, we would just work on educating the politicians on what the heck even is this? Like more like city council,
Right.
school board, supervisor elections, stuff like that.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah. I would say that this ecosystem, what it desperately needs is education. So I want to thank you for, kind of putting yourself out there and working on these kind of stuff. I mean, so you do a lot of education. Do you do like any consulting or anything like that, like related to like this kind of stuff then?
Yeah, so if all of our free stuff isn't good enough, we also do one-on-one and group coaching.
Okay, cool.
So that's the whole Freedom Tech stack. Uh, obviously Bitcoin, securing your seeds, creating hardware wallets, backing everything up. We also do Linux setup on computers to like, a
Okay.
lot of people want like a Bitcoin only laptop. So we'll put Linux and Sparrow Wallet and Bisq and get all the open source stuff downloaded and VPNs and make sure everything's nice and private without your name on it.
And
De-Googled phones.
yeah, yeah. And if anyone has any questions on any of these terms that Wesley has used, yeah, like we'll definitely provide some, more
Yeah.
information so you can contact him and that kind of stuff. I might know some of these terms, but
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, when it comes to encryption and privacy, that is really, really important. And I didn't mean to cut you off there. So if you have, any other services,
Basically anything in Freedom Tech you need, we do.
cool.
Nodes, mining, the answer is yes, typically.
Awesome. So what is your favorite thing to help educate and consult people on?
Um, hmm.
Like, is it just Bitcoin, or do you like to focus on like the de-Googling and stuff like that? Because I know that's kind of like a sexy topic right now.
Yeah, so yeah, the de-Googled phones are fun. But people like definitely need to understand that Google is so deep in everything that we do that like it's to the point where you can't use Uber, like as the app on your phone anymore. You have to like go to uber.com and like use it because the Google Play services won't let you do the stuff. So
Oh wow.
it's definitely a lifestyle like adaptation that you have to make. Um, so that's a lot of what I do is being like, hey, like this is not an iPhone and a Mac. Like this, like we are removing like all the hand holding pretty much. I mean, and there's some, and I know the distros like the Linux distributions to use to that make it because I'm not the biggest tech guy. So I think like I know enough to be dangerous and to do this. But I
Yeah.
mean, if something's not retard proof, like I can't use it. And so like I think that kind of helps that I'm the one doing this for new people is because I know if I can do it, like you probably can too. I'm not like a
Right.
computer geek or anything like that. And half what I'm doing is just googling. It's just googling the error message anyways. Because
So
everything's freaking different. Every computer someone brings me is different.
yeah, so you're Googling on how to de-Google something?
Well, that I've gotten down. The website they have is pretty that's actually one of the more straightforward ones because you can only do it on Pixels like 6 and up, Google Pixels, and so that I've actually gotten that down from like 3 hours to like 30 minutes. So,
Oh wow. Okay,
but
cool.
the Linux on the laptop, every laptop's different. There's always some different BS. Like I gotta, especially the new Windows 11 computers, they really do not want you open sourcing your stuff.
Yeah, I mean that would make sense, right? A lot of these companies kind of want to keep you inside of the ecosystem. Right now I'm using a Mac, so if that says anything.
Yeah, Macs are even worse. It's like the amount of BS you got to do to install like a Sparrow wallet on there is ridiculous.
So, yeah, but one thing I always, I always challenge people, and I'm glad you said it's kind of like a lifestyle to like do Google because life sucks without Google. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Life life is very, very difficult. So when people are like, "Oh yeah, your privacy, security," it's like, eh, because at the end of the day, and and yeah, of course, I want privacy, I want security. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel like the average person will want that and will be absolutely horrified by just how much information on us is out there. Like even just by putting this podcast out, right?
Right.
Like probably have a good idea of like what general area that we're living, a little bit about us, and and who knows what so like that information is out there. So, but if you're trying to go outside of your way to de-Google your life, encrypt everything like that, and stuff like that, I like that, in general, in principle, but not like most people don't do that. And at the end of the day, there's a certain security about just hiding in plain sight or hiding in
Hmm.
the crowd, where it's just like you got so much data on people everywhere. So it's just like, Yeah, everyone else is here. So I'm just hiding in a crowd. But if I encrypt everything and if I do this, then almost in a way, it's like having hackers actually want to go after you, maybe. I don't know. Is that like a weird theory?
No, it's not. But really, what you're doing with like these like privacy practices is it's not going to protect you from like the laser eye of Sauron if the feds try to like turn on you and audit you and figure out, you know, like it's not gonna do that. But what you are doing is keeping yourself out of the dragnet. So when
Mm,
T-Mobile has a data breach of 400 million customers and it has phone number, social security number, bank account information, and just everything,
wow.
like you're not in that, you know. So like that's more what this is it's just keeping you out of those dragnets and like those big breaches. But yeah, I mean, I got rid of all my Google stuff. And then I started, running three different organizations at the same time or three different projects, and I needed to have all my calendars and email, and then and I'm like, so now I'm back on Google and Gmail, at least for my calendar. Um,
I mean, the Google Calendar is like my Bible. I mean, it tells
Dude,
me what I'm going to do
yeah.
every single day if I have a meeting or anything like that. So I wouldn't know what I would do without Google Calendar or Gmail and all of its different like sign-in stuff. Like I wouldn't be able to sign in probably into like 90% of the sites without Google.
Well, so that's where Password Manager comes in, and they can you do an extension, and then you can do that still. But I mean, so Proton is really trying to create that new ecosystem. Um,
Yeah.
Problem is there's just no integrations, and I try like I use this tool Motion, and I love it because it does all my task management and calls and schedules and my calendars and puts everything in one thing, and it's super nice. Doesn't have Proton Mail integration because Proton is intent encrypted, so Proton doesn't even know what you have, so you can't plug it in. You'd have to manually update the calendar every single time, and it wouldn't. So it's just a mess.
So, so, so I guess like my next question is like, what hope do we have to like have like convenience and privacy? Like obviously like it seems like there's like a spectrum there, and it seems like that's
Oh,
kind of what you're doing.
yeah, and it's convenience and privacy. They're on opposite ends of the spectrum. Like it's like your your safe is inconvenient to access
That
by
makes
design.
sense. Yeah, that makes
You
sense.
know, like that's the unfortunate reality. And so what you can do is you can separate your lives. You can have, your business phone and your business computer and your business accounts, and then your personal phone, your personal computer, and your personal accounts, and you have them separated. That's less convenient because now you have two computers and two phones, which a lot of people do have two phones already. Um, you know, it's how much do you care and how much do you want to try is is really what it boils down to.
Yeah, but I mean again like even I see the use case for privacy and security and all this kind of stuff. And like I have pretty good systems set up, but the average person just doesn't care. And even if there's
It's a lot
like
of
a
work.
breach, like a lot of them don't even know about it. A lot of them, don't even know that they can probably collect maybe like $200 on a lawsuit, right? Which
Yeah.
isn't, which isn't even that much. And the lawyers will make more money out of like these lawsuit cases, like in privacy. Like, nobody cares. So how how would you educate, let's say, or like what would get people to care? I mean, sure, like there's education, but like what would need to happen for people to like actually care about their privacy and security online?
Nothing. At this point. I mean, I mean, Equifax breached everyone's social security numbers, bank account information, credit score. T-Mobile's breached every. I mean, no, like there's such a like a defeatist like I'm already exposed. What's the point? Which, like, maybe, but that's your past. Like everything going forward doesn't have to still be exposed. And people are like, oh, well, I mean, like, I don't know. Like, why should I even bother? I'm already out there. I'm like, do you close the stall door in the bathroom? Like, do you have curtains on your
Yeah,
windows in
that,
your bedroom?
yeah.
Oh, well, of course. I'm like, okay. You're
So
walking around there that naked.
yeah, and everyone would appreciate it if you close the damn door.
Yeah, right.
So
But yeah, I don't know. People just don't care.
yeah, yeah. So actually, there are services out there. It's like I use this service called in Incognito.
Incogni? Yeah.
Yeah, or like incog, yeah. And like they will help, I guess, like take down your data and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a monthly subscription, so I feel like I'm like trapped in that for life now because I feel like it's like an ongoing fight that you kind of have to do. So it's like
Yeah.
if you get caught in these drag nets and stuff like that, this is one way to defend, which is basically just doing offense stuff like that. I don't know how good these services are, but I do remember that I used to get calls from like the same place where like my area code is like 7 times a day. And then
Mm-hmm.
whenever I got the service, I stopped getting a lot of these calls. Like for example, I'll still get I'll still get like the text messages like, "Oh, you got like a UPS delivery that's late or whatever, like click this link." Okay, well, obviously don't click the link. Or
Yeah.
a lot that I'll see now, which is kind of concerning, where it's like, they'll be like, "Hey, Paul, do you want to have dinner tomorrow?" And it's like, okay, my name's
Yeah.
Paul, and like, who the hell is this? I've obviously never answered any of those text messages, and I have no idea how those type of social engineering hacks would go because those are getting pretty sophisticated. Actually, I got a crazy story that happened to me about a month ago. So about a month ago on Twitter, Wesley, I got this message and say like, "Hey, we noticed all your work and blah 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 blah. We're from Andreessen Horowitz, which is the biggest tech VC
Mm-hmm.
like in the US and the world, and I have like tech startups and stuff like that. And of course, we'll take funding, from Andreessen, right? Yeah, absolutely. And they're like, yeah, just, we want to schedule a call. Here's a Calendly link. I checked the Calendly link. It's all legit. It's all good. I checked the Twitter profile. Like the Twitter profile was made like in 2012 and with like some activity, a decent amount of followers from a person that does work at Andreessen. It looked Wesley like it looked like super convincing, and even for me, like I feel like I can, like see scams, whatever. And like a week later, it came for the day where like we were supposed to have like a meeting, right, to see if like they want to invest in the startup
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. And then they sent me a link. I didn't recognize this link, and I was nervous because I'm like, dude, this is like freaking Andreessen. Like, I don't want
This
to,
is it. Yeah.
I don't want, I want this up. Like I put a nice polo on. Like, I looked better than this, man. I mean, like, I think I look pretty decent in this jersey, and you look great in that shirt. But like, I was a little nervous, and I'm just like, I don't want to click that link. And so I went on Twitter and like I typed in this link, and it was basically like it would take you to a site which isn't necessarily like the malware, but you would download like a Zoom type software, and it was a Trojan horse.
Mm.
And I found one post on it made like 3 days ago on Twitter while I was like searching, and of course I immediately blocked and everything like that. But like, and then it actually happened to a coworker of mine where they were saying, "Hey, we love the work you do. You should like we would love for you to speak at the next like consensus conference in Hong Kong." And it's like, and like my colleague, like she's done speeches before
Right.
in the crypto ecosystem. Like she's done major speeches. So like this isn't anything weird or new.
Mm-hmm.
Even for me to like be approached by like Andreessen, like, yeah, that's kind of weird, but I don't know, maybe. I got friends who've been invested by Andreessen. So
Yeah.
even when it comes to like these kind of hacks, man, like you have to be careful of the social engineering. I mean, like that's the scariest thing because I know that I have some aunts, who've definitely been affected by like this. Like they'll get a call and like they'll steal, someone's voice using AI or whatever, and it's like,
Hmm.
hey, auntie or aunt or mom or dad or grandma, grandpa, whatever, like, hey, this is Joey. I'm stuck in Mexico. I did just get back from Mexico. Like I need $1,000. I'm stuck. Help. And they can just record the voice. And, so like these social engineering hacks is what I'm really worried about, man.
Yeah, especially with the rise of AI. I mean, it's getting. I mean, we can do a Zoom. You can do a freaking Zoom call. I mean, they can pull your podcasts video and feed it to a thing and spit out a video Joey
I mean, this isn't
that's
me right now.
asking for money.
This is totally AI.
Hey, well, I mean, you'd be moving pretty fast, and you'd be, I mean, that'd be. I forget who Reid Hoffman, I think, did
Yeah.
that. Um, I mean, and why not? Fuck it. Let my AI handle all my calls.
So actually, there is this company called Hey Gen that I signed up for.
Hmm.
And it's scary, dude. Like, it made me do like a presentation, okay? And or like yeah, like basically like read off a prompter and be like, "Hi, my name is Joey," whatever. And then now I can go back to it and just say like, "Okay, I want this." So like it creates like an avatar of you. And I said, and I just said like, "Okay, make my avatar say this." And then it has me on camera. You can still tell it's AI, but it's like, "Hi, my name is Joey. I'm," and then like saying something that's like super like embarrassing or whatever. And I'm just like, that's not convincing yet. The voice is basically on par, but this is going to get better within a year. I'm not going to
Hmm.
be able to tell the difference. So it's like you can like take that avatar, literally send it to your family and friends, and just like say something like super embarrassing or lie or try to get like just, something to like even video call like your mom and be like, "Hey mom, like, hey, this is Wesley, your son. Um, I lost my seed for my Bitcoin. Can you, you know, get it for me and send it here?" And who knows what's gonna happen? Like,
Yeah,
like we are entering the brave new world, Wesley.
yeah. Need to start having you know paper communications and safe words for your family. Be like you
That's a good
know like
idea.
like hey, if you ever get one of these calls, ask for the word. I mean, we had that when I was little. I mean, like, because my parents worried about someone trying to pick us from school, saying, "Hey, your mom sent us." Um, so I mean, it's not verifying. Who you're actually talking to is supposed to be who you're talking to is nothing new, but it's definitely scaled. That's for sure.
Well, I don't want to end on like doom and gloom here. I don't know this, like we'll get into like a conversation like this, but I mean, this is something that freaks me out, man. And I really don't have a solution. I have no idea what to do. The only thing we really can do is raising awareness, and
Hmm.
that's by doing education. So again, I want to thank you for doing like a lot of this education stuff because not a lot of people do it. Um, so dude, good luck, man. And actually, like, we need help, man. Like we need luck. Because like you can do stuff, maybe get a bill passed and stuff like that. But like there's tons of criminals and like awful people out there. And so if you want to learn some like best practices for this stuff, definitely contact Wesley. Hate to end this on doom and gloom, man. I mean, do you have like any positive, stuff that we can end here?
Yeah, so I mean, I've been using Incogni for a couple of years now. Um, and I'll just, and it seems like it works. So they've sent out 470 opt-out requests.
Wow.
411 of them have been completed. The 59 are waiting, and 45 are never adding me to the records again. It says it saved me 308 hours. So like
Jeez.
it does actually work. I mean, like we do actually have rights that are in these very long terms of services. And so like exercise your rights. Like if you exercise your rights, they have to then legally, which, whatever that's worth, um, they then they then have to, you know, respect them. So, I like it's not that hard, spend a couple bucks and you can kind of start unraveling, this mess that we're in. Um, but also like find people in your area that believe the same stuff you do and hang out with them in real life. Like the
I
best
mean,
way to
that
not
sounds
get,
cool.
exposed online is to don't be online. Be in the real world. It's a beautiful day out. I mean, it's 80 degrees in January right now.
Yeah, yeah, come down to Florida. Dude, Wesley, this has been great. This has been fun. I'm sick and tired of being online, so I'm gonna end this podcast and go outside. But I want to thank everyone for listening to the Joey Langenbrunner podcast and stay tuned for more. Cheers.